In our last video, we talked about the chains area, the two different views where you can access chains, and how to start to sculpt your sounds by adding devices in and reordering those devices. Now let's say you want to add some effects in a different type of way. Say, for example, on our snare drum, we want to have a reverb. But instead of using it as an insert, we want to use it as a send. Because the drum rack is set up more or less like a small mixer, it does have a built-in send and return function. When showing our chains list, we talked earlier about how these extra controls show up. If we disable the show chains, they disappear. Down here, you'll see two buttons, S and R. These stand for send and return. They work very similarly to the sends and returns in the main live mixer. If you press the return button, you'll notice a new window populates that says drop audio effects here. This is our return area. So if we go up to Live's device browser and we browse down to Reverb, we can drag and drop a reverb into this area. Now you can see it's created a return track labeled A with the reverb on it. Again, it has an input meter, volume, pan, track activator, solo, hot swap, and an output meter. When we're using a device as a send, we want to ensure that the wet dry is at 100%, because we control the mix of the signal that'll be passing through this device from the chain we're sending from. Now if we go over here and click on the send button, you'll see in our chains area, a send parameter now displays. So if we go to our snare and we increase the send amount, we should be able to hear the sound passing through the reverb. We can adjust the parameter to get as much reverb as we want. We can add additional devices to our return area. We can take, for example, a saturator, a simple delay, a flanger, a filter delay, and an erosion plugin. You can add up to a maximum of 6 devices in your return area within the drum rack. That wraps up our discussion of sends and returns. We learned how to create return chains within the drum rack and add devices to them. Then we showed how to send amounts to the return chains from the chains within our drum rack. As you've seen, whenever a sound is loaded into the drum rack, it creates a simpler instrument. So next, we're going to be covering the ins and outs of the simpler and going into it in detail.